It was me kind of exercising my demons and trying to figure out, why do I make the choices that I do? Why do certain women in my family make certain choices? And what's the lineage? Like, what is the repeated pattern?
Welcome to my channel.
Today, I want to talk to you about this painting that is a part of my 2026 art collection. This painting is called Generations, and it is a watercolor on clayboard and panelboard. I want to talk to you specifically about the process, how it was made, what's the concept and story behind it, and how does it fit in my collection overall. So let's talk about materials. First, I started with a panelboard that was already gessoed and it's completely smooth. Then I decided to put my clayboard recipe that I make myself on top. After this cured, I then started watercoloring and ta-da! There you have it. This painting took on a little bit of a different life because I wanted to try something new. So I usually don't do a dark background, first off. And I usually don't do a background that has a lot of things in it. Most of the time, my hand paintings have just the hand with an object or something and pretty subtle atmosphere happening around it. It is full of life and has some serious rich colors that are happening. The dark background pushes the blue gradient into green into almost like a neon feel. And so that was the look I was going for, and I would say it nailed it. I will say this color choice on the clayboard did have some challenges. So the way clayboard works in particular with color is when you put your color down and you put another color on top of it, your water is going to reanimate the surface. And so depending on how much you're painting and scrubbing or how dark you want to go, you're going to be constantly pulling up that color and putting more down. The clayboard doesn't allow it to really soak in as much as paper does. It's going to keep a lot of it to the surface. So you might get some sheen on the water and the pigment and how it's acting, or the pools might be awkward and different. So this one definitely has some more splotchy areas than I was used to or what I even expected. And it's because this one has about 3 or 4 layers of this really beautiful dark blue gray. My technique on the background is pretty simple. I mainly had my shapes laid out, but I kind of also relied on the clayboard to allow me to wipe color away. So some of these highlights and things were just kind of a retracting of the color. And that's another really cool feature about clayboard. This idea was birthed last year, and I had a few iterations of it, and I had one mock-up in particular that I thought was pretty okay. This one right here was kind of the first or second go of my Generations idea. You can tell immediately that it has a few different hands. Instead of the hands melting into one another, there's some kind of like water or liquid that's dripping all the way through. I really like the idea of the dark background and challenging myself with that and having some hands that were kind of neon glowing. But of course, I took another moment to reconsider my colors and how the concept was translating through the hands. And so then that's why I ended up doing this one. I also wanted to give the hands more room. And I was thinking, even if I did this one again, I would probably elongate it even more. Have the drips and the color gradient be more dramatic, have the background maybe push and tunnel in even more. Just have there like be this extra drama. All right, let's talk concept. So the reason why I chose this like kind of jungle background is because I wanted the generational feel of this painting to kind of have a callback to the Garden of Eden. Kind of like this beginning of time and this family lineage. I thought it would be appropriate to have also a kind of this sensation of water and dripping. And so that's also why I chose the colors I did. It was kind of like this waterfall that's happening in the middle of all the vegetation, a symbol of life and growth. And so everything, even though the background is dark and kind of spooky, you have this really bright center that isn't evoking fear, but draws you in with mystery and excitement. Now, this concept overall was birthed from just my thoughts on generational trauma, honestly. It was me kind of exercising my demons and trying to figure out, Why do I make the choices that I do? Why do certain women in my family make certain choices? And what's the lineage? Like, what is the repeated pattern? Even though I am not my mother, there are so many traits of my mom that I carry, whether that's in physical form, given my curly hair, or it's in actual like thought process and attitude or enthusiasm or preferences even. If you can tell, I'm thinking of even her mother and how her mother influenced her and then how my mother influenced me. So I wanted it to be everyone's the same age. And so like the decisions that grandmother is making in her 30s, my mom is making in her 30s, and that's what I'm making in my 30s, because we're all kind of presented with similar choices in our life at the same time. Also wanted to take it a step further by doing a gradation that was a darker color into a lighter color. Here is a blue, and this is kind of more of a solemn peace color. We get a little bit more younger, and then we're green. We're completely new to the experience because that's how I felt in the moment of being just a green newbie, someone who was navigating things and trying to figure it out and having to look back through the wisdom of my family lineage. The way that this one works with my collection overall is that my 2026 art collection is kind of a living record, if you will, of my life, especially the last 2 years and what I've had to process when it comes to things like trauma, purpose, life, time, even death. So yeah, this one is my oldest concept out of the collection and probably has the most mock-ups if I'm being honest. But it is definitely one that sticks with me and I would totally do again. And I kind of want to continue developing it. I'm a little obsessed. Of course, I would love to dive in more about this concept and maybe even some of the stories and the specifics of what I'm talking about when it comes to generational trauma and family lineage and what we carry from our grandmothers, mothers to us. And I plan to do that through a Substack. I am launching a Substack with some writings and I'll even tag in some videos for my YouTube there. And it's still being constructed and I'll be launching that really soon. But you can go ahead and subscribe. It is live. So please follow me there if you want to get more details about the art and what I'm up to. And plus, I have a really huge adventure that's coming up and I will make a video more about that. And if you subscribe to my Substack, you'll get a sneak peek on what that is. Okay, friends, so thank you so much for following me along with my 2026 art collection. I might make a couple more, but you know, I am running out of time. So, and I do have to kind of like wrap it up, but I have so many ideas. So right now it's kind of at a close, but of course I might sneak in another one or two and I'll be sharing more about those in the future.
Thank you for watching.